Hi, welcome to my space.
Thanks for having me here.
LeeSun, it's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
It's not the first time you've been to my house, so it's
No.
always nice to have you around for tea.
Yeah, it's always good being here.
Yeah.
Third time now.
Yeah, oh, is it? Yes. So, today we are talking to LeeSun about everything music, because you are a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
Solo singer-songwriter. Do you have a band at all?
I don't have a band, but I work with a lot of musicians to actualize the things that I hear in my head.
Lovely. How do you do that?
Well, it started out a couple of years ago when I thought the very, very minimum thing I need is just one acoustic instrument and one vocal. And so it was a toss-up between an acoustic piano or a guitar, and then I met a guitarist called Toby Noble, who's local. And we got together and played a couple of things, and I really loved the way he played. And so then it was just me and Toby going into studios and recording a guitar and vocal. And it's evolved over the years so that after a while I started feeling the limitations of that. First I explored what that was, like how much can you do with just a guitar, just a vocal. And when the guitar is so exposed and all there is to vary a song is a guitar and a vocal, the writing has got to be so solid. Like everything about the guitar and vocal arrangement and the writing and the lyrics and the melody, everything has to be incredibly solid. Otherwise you just can't hold interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but you play the piano, do you?
I do.
You do? Did that come later on then? Did it start off with you and Toby?
No, I've always played the piano.
Okay.
And when I first started writing, I still write on the piano. When I first started writing, I used to just play and sing. But I discovered after a while that I was getting really frustrated at not being free to sing the way I wanted, because I'd have to sort of split my mind and my attention between what I was playing and what I was singing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is after, because I remember seeing you perform with your piano all those years ago. So this is since then you've gone more into. Wow. So do you feel freed up by that then?
Yeah, very much so.
People?
Because I've always had a sort of love-hate relationship with the piano. Like I really love the instrument and I love playing piano. I love playing classical music. But when I'm singing my own songs, I'm always really frustrated because I never work out my piano arrangements very fully. So there are always these big gaps where I think, well, this is a bit that I want to sound more epic, or this is a bit that I want to sound really peaceful. But when I'm actually playing it, I just feel very clumsy.
Yes.
And like I'm just playing stuff that isn't what I want. And so I just got tired of working at that and singing at the same time. And it's just been good working with Toby instead. Yeah.
Lovely. And what's your process for writing?
I just let things come to me generally. Like I've always, the very first song that I wrote just came to me in the middle of, I was trying to practice classical music and I was kind of not really enjoying it. And instead I had this little tune going around in my head and I wrote it down. And that was my first song. And then that kind of set the pattern of how I wrote. And so I'd be practicing or I'd be walking, I'd be doing something else entirely and a song would come to me, and then it would be like listening to something playing faintly, like far away, and just listening like, oh, what is that? Like, what is that? And just writing it down. So that's always how I've written. At one point I wondered if I could just write a song, just decide to write a song and just write one.
So it tends to have to be when you are filled with inspiration. It's not that you sit down and write a song. It's
they just come to me and so I just write it. But then
so
I wondered, like, can I just write a song if I decide? Is it possible? Because I've never done that. So actually the song that I'm working on now that I'm releasing as a single soon, that was a song that came out of me sitting down going, okay, well, a friend has asked me to play at her wedding. I'm going to write a song for that. I'm just going to sit down and write a song for that and see if I can do it. So it was kind of like a challenge to myself.
Lovely, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I wonder if it'll be any good. I wonder if I can do it.
Have you done this yet?
I did that. So that's the song I'm recording in the middle of recording at the moment. So that was years ago. And so I sat down, wrote that song, and I realized I can do it that way, but I don't choose to do it that way often because a lot just comes up all the time anyway. So there's almost no space to be sitting down and writing extra songs in between. Yeah. But they tend to just come to me. Often, like, I dream songs, and often I'll wake up in the morning or in the middle of the night. I'll wake up and I'll have a song that I've dreamt, and then I'll write that down.
Amazing. I haven't written a song in about 3 years, which is such a long time for me.
Well, they're all in there.
I used to write for years and years and years and years. So that's been a whole new experience. Have you had any phases where you haven't written?
Yeah, I don't really pay much attention to whether I'm writing a lot or a little.
Okay.
I kind of feel like...
It just feels like a natural flow.
It does, and it feels like the stuff that I write, it happens because I'm needing to express things a certain way in a certain time. And then sometimes there will be things going on in my life where I won't be writing for a long stretch, but that's because there are other things I need to deal with. Yes. Yeah.
There is lots you have to deal with as a solo artist, or, as an artist in general, like in terms of promotion. And do you have a record label or anything like that? Do you do it all yourself?
I do everything myself.
Yeah. This is it. Become jack of all trades.
A little bit, or a jack of no trades. I'm not very good at all the self-promotion bit. I've never really gotten into it, but I kind of feel like if I focus on the creating bit and really develop myself in that vein, the other stuff will come as I'm ready to cross those bridges.
Okay. Yeah. I think there are different levels of what people think they do, because I know that I've had a conversation with you and you really did seem to be promoting yourself in terms of sending stuff out to people, and which is something that I've not really done. And but at the moment I'm focusing more on social media, and I don't know how much you've done with that. And so there's lots of different levels, aren't there? And
I try to be proactive in terms of connecting with people. And so I love events where it's artist development events or networking events. I love events like that. So I go to anything like that. But when I say I'm not good at the self-promotion stuff, it's more the back-end admin that I'm really not good at, like registering songs with PRS, registering songs on Music Brains, which is the big database that is supposed to keep a record of everything every artist does, but you have to do it yourself.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
Okay, you need to get on it.
Do I need to get on that?
Yeah, it's Music Brains with a Z.
Music Brains.
Yeah, just Google it.
And what's the reason I need to do that?
Because they are certainly within the UK, they are the sort of definitive database for what every artist has done, every single single, every release, everything.
But why do I need to contribute to that? I still don't.
Because if your work is on there, then if, for example, a radio station plays your stuff, then they can look you up on there and say a little bit more about you, or they'll know.
Okay, so it's the biggest.
It's like a Wikipedia.
I see.
But it's a musician's one, a recording artist one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay.
So stuff like that. The Music Brain stuff, my stuff's not up to date on there, or Grace Note. So they're the database that, when you put a CD into your computer, if you ever do that, or any sort of music player, and it comes up with like the album picture or the artist picture and all this information about the song, they're getting that from Grace Note.
Okay.
So if you haven't registered all your stuff on Grace Note, when your music goes into someone's player, it just comes up with unknown album, unknown artist. It's not nice.
Amazing. Learning lots already. Thank you very much.
Grace Note, Music Brains, that's the stuff I'm really bad at. I'm okay with like connecting with people.
But again, you're better than me. I mean, I didn't even know of these things. So I think we all have different levels of... and I think that whatever you're aware of, there's always so much. And so for me, I feel like I'm really, like I've got a long to-do list. I always feel like there's so much to do, and that'll always grow. I mean, I've just added 2 more things to my list of things to do, having talked to you, and there are lots of different avenues. I've been exploring this idea of artist support recently. Yeah. Because I think there's sort of different groups forming recently that we've started to become a part of together, music groups, and for me it's been really nice to share the music experience with other people in this way. because obviously we meet people on the scene of doing gigs and things like that. But it's more talking about, what we're doing as individual artists and how we're moving forward creatively. And it's not just about supporting each other's sets and live gigs. And I found that really helpful, actually. I found it, because I think it can be quite isolating, especially if you're a solo artist.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So and I think it's, well, for me, what I'm finding is that it's so important to shift into the mindset where the music that I create is part of something bigger as well. It's part of a language that others are participating in, where they're developing, where they're exploring and journeying. We're all on our own journeys. And so it's something collaborative.
Okay.
Like,
and how does it connect? You're talking about it's part of something bigger. Is it do you envision kind of, I don't know, threads that make up a weave, or is it sort of, it's interesting?
I don't really know, but I guess there's something about where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And so when
Intention.
I talk about, what's that?
Intention,
yes, that's massive. Intention and also attitude. And so understanding kind of my work as being part of something collaborative and collective, as opposed to something that's competitive, like that's a very, very different thing, right? So understanding that succeeding as an artist myself is not about being better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Succeeding as an artist myself is about reaching out and connecting with others who are doing the same thing, about coming from a loving place where I am learning about loving my own work and also supporting others and doing the same thing. Like, I feel like in a way, you can't go wrong if you come from a loving place.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what you do. Like,
this takes us onto your blogs. You started blogging. You do. I've noticed you do little batches of blogging on your YouTube. So, and it's if it's not truth, it isn't. If it isn't love, it isn't truth.
If it's not loving.
Loving.
If it's not loving, it isn't true.
Okay.
And if it's true, then it's loving. I think I say something like that. Gosh, I haven't said it in so long, I don't even remember.
And where did that come from? Is that something you've been looking at for a few years? Or?
No, well, last year, just under a year ago, I attended this event where I was speaking to someone about how truth is so important to me. And she said, oh, well, a friend of mine, she went on this retreat where there was some sort of assertiveness training, I think. And they were told that, oh, well, you've got to speak the truth no matter what. Like, that's just how you have to be as a person. And then apparently she came off this retreat and she was saying all these really mean things to people because, like, she felt they were true. So I'm like, oh, that dress really doesn't suit you, kind of thing. Like, or that work really isn't up to scratch. Or she'd be saying all these mean things. And I was like, well, that's not truth. Because in order for something to be true, you have to be coming from a loving place.
Understand.
Yeah, and so I just thought in that moment, God, people have really misunderstood what truth is about. Like, they think truth is about something cold, hard, factual, and objective. Well, there's no such thing as an objective truth. Everything is a judgment.
Yes.
And so if you're saying that it's an objective truth to tell someone that dress doesn't suit them, well, who are you to judge that?
Yes.
Like, to 100 other people, that dress might be brilliant on that person, right?
Yes.
And so the only thing that makes truth true is when it's imbued with love. And I just thought, it's amazing when people don't understand that, because what that does, when you start thinking that truth is nothing to do with love, truth is to do with something cold and hard and factual and objective, what you're saying is that truth is not related to your heart. Truth is something that's external, that's out there, and that you can, like, pound someone over the head with it because you don't own it. It's nothing to do with you. It's not personal. And so there's no ownership of things that people kind of throw on other people as true. And I think that's very, very dangerous. Like, I think it can be very destructive. I think it's destructive to both the person doing that and the person receiving it, because then there's this sort of damaging stuff out there that you kind of give this power and authority to, saying, well, that's the objective truth. That person said my music sucked. Yeah. That's true. It's like, no, that's just someone's judgment.
Yes, well, that's really important, isn't it? Especially as a solo artist, I do find that it's easier to remember the criticisms that people give you, that people give me. Right. But actually, it's probably the same thing, really. Probably not to listen to the flattery or the criticism, because it's all just an opinion at the end of the day, and there's going to be someone who feels completely different. But as a solo artist, you have less of that experience of being a band member, being a group member, and having other people say, oh, we all stand behind this song. When you're a solo artist, you don't have anyone to stand with, and it's sort of...
It's true. You have to believe in your stuff, whether you've got people with you or not. Yes. But I'm not saying to, like, disregard what people say about your music. Like, if someone says, your music sucks, or someone says, oh, that's so beautiful, I think those are very valid expressions, but it's about the meaning you give to it. Like, when I hear someone say that, something like that, for me, I kind of try to understand it as they're communicating something about themselves. They're not communicating something about my music exactly. They're talking about how my music has happened to impact them in a moment. So they're trying to say something. They're saying, so one person's saying, I got nothing out of that. Or they're saying, I got nothing out of that and I really dislike it as well, and it's making me react. It's really challenging me in a certain way where I just dislike it. Or someone saying, that was really powerful for me, it moved me and it's changing my life. Or so one person is expressing disconnection and resistance and fighting, and the other person is expressing that they've connected. And I think those are both very valuable things to hear. And I guess if I hear that from two different people, my natural impulse would be I would want to connect more with the person who has expressed connection, because they're connecting it. So like they've kind of reached out to me. And so I think that's really beautiful, and I appreciate that. That's a loving gesture. The other person is expressing real disconnect, and I'm just like, well, fine, you're entitled to your opinion. You've expressed a disconnect, and I'm going to respect that. I don't need to engage with that or connect with that either.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That's a lovely insight. Thank you.
Sure.
It is all really helpful. It's really helpful exploring these different ideas with other people. As I say, it's it can be quite isolating. So that's really good. And you've released a single last December.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And We Are All Made of Stars?
We're all made of stars. There's a really famous song by Moby, like it did really well in the charts and stuff, called We Are All Made of Stars. And there is a lyric in it where they just repeat that over and over, like, we are all made of stars, we are all made of stars. And it's quite distinct, like, we are all made of stars. And so I was, after I wrote the song, I wasn't aware at the time of this Moby tune, because I'm not very good at like staying on top of what's been popular or what the famous songs are. But I googled We're All Made of Stars and that came up, and then I had a listen. I was like, oh yeah, I have heard that song before. But the lyric in my song is We're All Made of Stars, like it gets sung again and again like that. We're all made of stars. Okay.
I felt really connected to that, and especially with the imagery you've used. Because I do like to meditate on this idea that the universe is also inside of us as outside of us.
Yeah.
And so this idea that we're all stars is beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
And just from a scientific point of view, likely all the atoms that we're all made of have been made out of stardust, like what once used to be stars. Yes. So, yeah.
So who did your artwork for that?
Lucy Barker.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, you know Lucy.
Lovely, yes. I met her for the first time the other day, actually.
Okay, yeah.
So that was nice.
Yeah, she's an amazing creative. Like, she just comes up with things out of just left field. Like, she really thinks outside of what anyone else thinks.
And she did your
Mother Oh Dear video, yeah, she did that as well, yeah.
And you're in the trees.
I love her perspective on things. Like, I do as an individual, I love her perspective, but there is a certain sort of, I'm going to get myself into trouble here, but there's a certain very feminine perspective that really shines through Lucy's work that I enjoy. I really love it.
What's your definition of feminine?
It's funny because I've never really quite put my finger on it, but there is something that feels like a really female energy to me, like the way it's kind of nebulous and a certain sort of ambiguity and certain kind of things taking shape out of what's formless.
Okay, out of chaos almost.
Yeah, like things kind of emerging, beautiful things emerging out of chaos in a way that's very, very non-linear.
Lovely definition, yeah.
And also just a certain eye for a certain type of beauty. And so not just composition, but Lucy's very, very tuned in to, if she's taking photos of me or videos of me, she's very, very tuned into my expression and the angle at which she's capturing me, like both my form and my face. Like she's very tuned into that in a way that lots and lots of other, videographers or photographers are not. Like they'll be thinking, oh, the light's great in that, composition's great, that's a great sort of statement coming out, and they'll be getting these things, but then I'll get them and I'll be like, but my expression's not quite right. Whereas Lucy will catch that moment where the expression is exactly...
That's a really powerful and wonderful relationship to have, because it could be that obviously she has skills as an artist away from your relationship, but to have that connection between you is really lovely. I have that with Lauren Pissachet, and we get on really well in terms of our ideas, and we really can get quite animated when we're talking about ideas for things, and that's really exciting to have that relationship, isn't it? And you feel a certain way when you're with them, and I think that naturally draws out.
You feel a bit more free and a bit more expressive, or
which would naturally draw out who you are onto camera or whatever it is. That's lovely. So projects coming up. You're releasing this single that you wrote a few years ago, is that right?
I wrote, and it was actually on my first album as well.
Okay.
But this is a completely new sort of version of it. It's a lot darker than my first album version. It's a bit more epic, and it's recorded as a duet, like a male-female duet. It's this sort of love song. It is a love song, but it talks about how broken the world is and how messed up the world is. And so the overall sort of idea that comes through again and again through the lyrics is that is this idea of eternity. Like, I love you and I want to be with you throughout eternity, and there's this sort of hopefulness, kind of like what that means. Eternity means that all that is really fucked up right now in the world is going to be, until that is sorted out. Like, there's a line that says, till there's no fear inside the night, till there's nothing left to fight, I want to be with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's stuff like that. It's kind of like till comfort comes to every child who's lonely, hurting, or reviled, I want to be with you. And so all the lines are like that. It talks about something really hard, painful, terrible happening in the world, and says, well, until that is resolved, until that's made better, I want to be with you. Yeah. Which is forever.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I do have these ideas that if I didn't feel like I had anything to fight for, which I really strongly feel like I've got something to fight for, if I didn't have that, I'd probably be quite content doing anything, and just enjoying my family and my friends, and I'd be happy collecting the rubbish, and and no, but I have this kind of burning desire to change the world, and it really fires,
because there is a fight going on.
Really,
absolutely, there's a fight going on, because even if you look at all the pain, but then if you look at what's causing the pain, like, there are so many messages about, like, if I think about what any human goes through, well, I'm talking about the sort of culture that I know, of course, so the cultures I've grown up in, which have been North America and the UK, but from day to day we're bombarded with millions of messages And those messages all have an impact, and kind of it's like, well, what impact are those messages having? What are they saying? What messages am I putting out there? What messages am I giving myself? There is a genuine battle that we are engaging in, and every person around us is engaging in. And so the messages that we give other people are a part of that battle. And so it can be, so a message we give somebody can be something that is destroying them or hurting them, or it can be something that's building them up or encouraging them.
Inspiring them.
Yeah. But there is very much that battle between the destruction and the building up happening all the time. There's so many destructive messages. Okay.
Do you think you could say what was the most important thing to you? If I had to say what is your key value as an artist, or a handful of values, do you have
funny because straight away the only thing that springs to mind is love. Like,
okay.
Yeah, love, connection, and love.
If it's not loving, it's not truthful. LeeSun, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been really good talking to you. It's really
and
fun.
I'm looking forward to sharing an event with you on the, I think we've moved to the 7th of July now.
Wow.
Yeah.
7th of July.
7th of July. It's going to come around quick.
7th
And so you've
7th.
got a, have you got a date yet planned for your single release, or are you just going to see how things move?
Yeah, well, I'd like it to be soon. Maybe around the end of April or May, but it's just about getting the artwork done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Because I need to find someone to do it. If Lucy can, that would be great. But she's very busy.
I'm looking for album artwork as well, so we should chat and just see what people we know of and share our findings.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. And you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, I'm on all those things. On everything, I'm either LeeSun. If LeeSun was available, I've grabbed it. So Twitter, I'm just LeeSun. I love that. I'm just twitter.com/LeeSun, LeeSun.
Yes.
At LeeSun. But then on the ones where LeeSun wasn't available, I've taken LeeSun Music. Okay. So Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, I'm LeeSun Music.
Great. We'll put the links underneath.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Jenny.
Bless you.
Bless you.
We'll see you around sometime.